Good morning, guys, and welcome to part 3 of Meet the Autobots with myself, Silverback. Reason doing this as well is to highlight that Transformers Universe will be at Eurogamer from next week, starting Thursday all the way through till Sunday. I shall be there casting with all the live action on the Transformers Twitch channel with my good friend Shawnee Pones. So what I wanted to do was give you a little bit more interaction on what robots are on the Autobots, and in the series following the next few days, what Decepticons or what robots are on the Decepticons. So it's a good versus evil type of thing. But today we are going to start with Meltdown. Now Meltdown is an amazing little robot. For me, probably a medium to high-end Autobot. Now we're going to start off with his Protex rocket launcher. Obviously long range, 7 out of 8 on that. Then we have shield damage, which is 4 out of 8. And spark damage, which is 2 out of 8. Then we have the Bora beam gun, which is a mid-range again. That's 4 out of 8 for range. Shield damage is 3 out of 8, and spark damage 3 out of 8. Then we move on to the Starstream beam gun. Mid-range, 4 out of 8, 3 out of 8, 3 out of 8. So very much even across the board. Obviously, shield damage-wise, the Protex rocket launcher is the stronger weapon, but if you're looking at spark damage, both the Bora and the Starstream are above them. Just making sure they're even filled. So if you're looking at a more powerful weapon, then it's the Protex rocket launcher. Moving over to the right hand side, we have the beam paralyzer. Now using the beam gun on an ally or enemy stacks a buff or debuff, which increases or decreases their damage output by 5% per stack member. Okay, then we have the repulsor probe. Deploys a probe which causes periodic damage and knockback. Can also be deployed while stunned. Okay, so if you get stunned and you want to, maybe slow them down a little bit, put that on there. That will help your recovery a little bit better. Now also we have the beam protector. Now this reduces incoming damage by 75%, while firing the beam gun, just to make sure that is the beam gun. So when you're using that, okay, it reduces any damage coming into you when you're using that. So it's a good close mid-range weapon. You can use this obviously to protect yourself while armed with that. Again, as with the others, you can quite easily add the resprays to any colour, the set colours that you have. You can buy them using relics, which is awesome. Now we're going to move on to this man here. This is Showdown. Showdown is one of my all-time favourites. I love Showdown, okay? Purposely, because first of all he has the inertial surge cannon. That surge cannon is an absolute beast. Shield damage is unbelievable. The spark damage is 2 out of 8. So not the highest for spark damage, but as a shield damage, this guy is beast. Then we have the Nebulon minigun. Again, mid-range, right? So it's 5 out of 8, then 3 out of 8, and then 3 out of 8. Then we have the Arc Hammer. This Arc Hammer, right, is a beast. Okay, now the range is obviously close range. The shield damage is 5 out of 8. The spark damage is 5 out of 8. So he has a range. We have the long range, the medium range, and then the short range. He has all areas covered. Then we move on to the right hand side. We have Power Surge. Now this reduces minigun cooldown by 80%, hammer by 65%, and surge cannon by 37%. That is absolutely huge. So, working in these combinations gives you a huge advantage. Then we have Shield Flux. Now, this removes up to 550 shield and donates 50% of that to nearby allies, do apologise. Then absorbs damage equal to 175% of removed shield, plus 100 other Showdown warriors are immune. It's absolutely brilliant. Then we have the energy converter, converts 12% spark into 12% shield. So if your spark is at that level and you want to convert it, it can move over to shield. Once again, as you do with all the Autobots and Decepticons, you do have your consumable slots right there. But I do love Showdown. Here's epic. Now we have Sparkscape. Thank you very much, Sparkscape. That really says it all with this guy. This guy is a fast, durable Autobot. Okay. Now this guy has a shock rocket launcher. Okay, long range, 7 from 8, 3 out of 8 for shield damage, 3 out of 8 for spark. Then we have a short range weapon. It is 2 out of 8, 1 out of 8 for shield, but the spark damage is 4 out of 8. Then we move on to the vaccine vapor gun. Okay, this stacks a quantity of hazard repair buffs on allies to cap 20 per ally, which will repair them when they take damage. So, you know, very much similar to triage. This guy has the ability to heal. Okay, which if you're having a team with you, it's always good to possibly have somebody that knows what they're doing to give you some backup. Now, we move on to the nozzle conversion. Right? This increases your vapor gun damage by 250% and repairs by 50%. Just to show you, that is your vaccine vapor gun right there. Okay. Then we move over to the repair reverser. Repairs spark screen for 133.3% of repairs done to allies. So if you're repairing somebody and you're ill and you're low on health yourself, this will also repair you. Then we move on to the Energon Purifier. Now this deploys a probe that will periodically remove a classified debuff from nearby allies. If you're wondering what a debuff is, these are the debuffs right here. This will remove one of the debuffs they have selected for a small period of time and disable them so they're unable to use those on any point. So if you're attacking somebody and it works well with one of their weapons, that can get removed on there for them. Okay, moving on swiftly to Swagger. Swagger. Yes, sir, we will indeed, Captain Swagger. He talks the talk. He is a beast of an Autobot. We're going to start with his Polaris Pulse Blaster. Long range, 6 from 8. And then we have shield, 4 from 8. And then we have the spark damage, 2 from 8. Now, this gives the target a long-lasting but weak damage over time, which also drains the S-Tech gauge. If Swagger's emission shroud equipment is active, his own S-Tech gauge will be fueled as well. Okay. And then we have the Bushido Beam Gun. Okay, now this is a mid-range weapon, 4 from 8, 3 from 8 and 3 from 8 on spark. Okay, basically applies damage over time to the target, which deals a large amount of damage when it expires or removed. Okay, then we move on to these beasts. Okay, I say beasts because these are the Dynasty Katanas. Okay, if you don't know what katana are, they're a very famous fighting sword. Now, the range is close range. It is 1 from 8, but the shield and spark damage is 4 and 8. Now, this deals damage to all nearby enemies. Damage is increased by 50% if Swagger's immersion shroud equipment is also active. Now, just to show you, that is the immersion shroud, so we're going to work up. So if that is on, those, okay, are increased by 50%, okay? So you'll be looking at 6 out of 8 for each of those on the shield and spark damage. So then we move on back up to the top. Now this removes up to 50% of the shield and starts a delayed explosion, which deals omni damage to all nearby enemies. The more shield removed, the greater the damage. Okay, so that really is a self-explanatory. It's a shield surge. It's a big debuff, to be fair with you. Now the virus maximizer increases Swagger's damage output by 25%, 75% if his target has a virus debuff. So if the target has a virus debuff on, then that increases to 75%. That's a massive increase of 50% on the original 25. And the damage output, just to make sure we had that correctly, of allies nearby at the time activation by 10%. 30% if the target has a virus debuff. Other Swagger warriors are immune to this. So that is Swagger. And finally, at the moment, in the Meet the Autobot section, is Marco. Thank you, Marco. Welcome to the battlefield indeed, sir. This is the Royal Laser Rifle. Okay, it is long range. Okay, so 7 from 8. Shield and spark both sitting on 3/8. Very, very, very level on that front for both damage side of things. Now it slows and increases a miss chance of the target of the nearby allies. I will get my teeth into it. I keep saying alleys. This is not good. Anyway, moving on. This is the Haze Grenade Launcher. Mid-range weapon. Hits 5 out of 8 for range. Shield damage 2 out of 8. But the spark is 4 out of 8. Okay. It applies a damage over time to all targets hit. Then we go for the short range. Yes, it's the Delta Sword. Okay. Now, range, being close range, 1 from 8. Shield range damage is 2 from 8. But the spark damage is 5 from 8. Now, it consumes the static of memory edge buffs, okay, attained by the Micros subsystem, okay. Now, we're going to move on to the debuffs, how these come into play here. Now, this is the Ionic Scrambler. Deploys a field which causes enemies inside it to miss their weapons. Ranged attacks against allies in the field have a 40% increased miss chance. So there's a chance of them missing you more by 40%, to put that into plain terms. Increased damage to shields by 50% or 150% if macro is inside the Iconic Scrambler field. Ionic Scrambler field, and camouflage shield is deployed by him. So that's the Iconic Scrambler, and this finally is the camouflage shield. Deploys a dome invisible to enemies which cloak ally players within the dome from enemies outside the dome. While inside the dome, the damage reduction of Macro's subsystem is doubled. Okay, so it's a huge advantage. So thank you very much. This is Meet the Autobots. That is the end of this series. We'll be starting next week with Meet the Decepticons, where you get to have a look at who's who. But don't forget, we will be at Eurogamer. If you have a team of people that you want to take the Transformers Eurogamer title, then please check out transformersuniverse.com. There is information on how we can get you some tickets and access to this. Thanks ever so much for watching this series, guys. We will see you very soon.